Welcome to Africa Unveiled. Ayinla, the legendary tales.
Welcome back to the Dark Lord of Benin. If you haven't watched episode 1, kindly do, so you can understand where we are, and special thank to our viewers and subscribers. Don't forget to subscribe. Now let's dive into part 2. Ao determined to follow the trail. Ao turned his attention to a name Osage had whispered before slipping into unconsciousness. Prophet Ezekiel Ajayi. The man was a televangelist, one of the richest preachers in Nigeria, and rumored to be deeply connected to high-ranking politicians. Ao attended his church in Lagos, blending into the massive congregation of hopeful believers. The atmosphere was electric, with people crying, shaking, and collapsing as the prophet cast out demons. Ao kept his camera hidden. He wasn't here for the theatrics, he wanted answers. Then he saw the men in dark suits seated near the altar, whispering among themselves. Ao recognized one of them, Chief Adekunle, a senator known for his overnight rise to power. Rumors swirled that before his appointment, he had vanished for months, only to return more powerful and untouchable. The sermon ended, and Ao managed to slip past the security to a back hallway. He was close to the prophet's chambers when he overheard hushed voices. The journalist is in Lagos. If he keeps digging, we'll have to silence him, just like the others. Ao's blood ran cold. Ao fled the church premises, his mind racing. Someone inside the brotherhood had access to his movements. He needed to find a safe house, somewhere off-grid. He reached out to an old contact, Miriam Okafor, a historian specializing in ancient West African secret societies. Miriam met him in a quiet cafe, her eyes scanning the room before she spoke. "I've been waiting for someone like you, Ao. But I need to know, are you ready for the truth?" She pulled out a weathered manuscript. This is the Book of Shadows, a forbidden text that documents the rituals of the gatekeepers of Benin. It details the blood odes, the midnight gatherings, and the sacrifices made to the ancient deity they serve. Some of the greatest rulers in African history, obus, military leaders, even modern politicians, are tied to this book. Ao flipped through the pages, his breath hitching. There, in faded ink, were names, some centuries old, others frighteningly recent. His hands trembled as he traced his fingers over one name in particular. Prophet Ezekiel Ajayi, the man claiming to be God's messenger, was written in a book detailing ancient blood sacrifices. Ao knew he had just crossed a line he could never uncross. Kindly smash the subscribe button, and on the notification button. Ao barely slept. The weight of what he had discovered in the Book of Shadows gnawed at his mind. Prophet Ezekiel Ajayi, one of the most powerful religious figures in Africa, was named in a centuries-old text on blood sacrifices. What did that mean? Was he part of the brotherhood? Or worse, was he one of its leaders? Determined to uncover the truth, Ao formulated a reckless plan. He would confront the prophet face to face. But he couldn't go alone. He reached out to Miriam, who hesitated at first, but eventually agreed. "You don't understand how dangerous this is, Ao," she warned. "If the brotherhood suspects you, they won't just scare you. They'll erase you." But Ao had come too far to turn back now. That evening, they arrived at the Ark of Redemption Ministries, the prophet's sprawling megachurch. Ao disguised himself as a hopeful congregant, while Miriam posed as a journalist interested in covering the prophet's philanthropic efforts. They maneuvered through the grand corridors, past elaborate murals of biblical scenes. The deeper they ventured, the more uneasy Ao felt. This wasn't just a church, it was a fortress. Finally, they reached a massive, gold-adorned door, the prophet's office. Ao took a deep breath and knocked. A deep, commanding voice answered, "Come in." The air inside the office was heavy with incense. Prophet Ezekiel sat behind an enormous desk, his piercing eyes studying them as if he already knew their purpose. His robes were immaculate, his fingers adorned with rings bearing ancient symbols. A smile curled on his lips. "What brings you to my humble dwelling, young man?" Ao cleared his throat. "I'm a journalist investigating the history of secret societies in Africa. I came across something disturbing." He carefully pulled out the Book of Shadows and flipped to the page bearing the prophet's name. The prophet's expression did not change. Instead, he leaned back and chuckled. Ah, the Book of Shadows, a relic of the past, yet it still holds power over fearful minds. His eyes darkened. Tell me, Ao, do you believe everything you read? Miriam shifted uncomfortably. Ao refused to back down. I believe in evidence. And this book names powerful figures who have allegedly gained their influence through sinister means. I want to know the truth. The prophet's smile faded. The truth? He leaned forward. The truth is power does not come freely. You either take it, or you are consumed by those who do. Kindly smash the subscribe button, like and on the notification button. Before Ao could respond, the door burst open. Two men in black suits entered. The same men Ao had seen whispering during the service. Take them, the prophet ordered. Ao and Miriam were dragged to a series of dimly lit tunnels beneath the church. The air grew damp, the walls narrowing into a suffocating corridor. Finally, they were thrown into a dark chamber where faint chanting echoed from unseen voices. The room smelled of blood and burnt herbs. Ao's heart pounded. He turned to Miriam, who was frantically trying to find a way out. The door locked behind them with a metallic clang. Then, from the shadows, a figure stepped forward. Chief Adekunle, the senator. So persistent, young journalist, he said, shaking his head. You should have left us alone. Ao glared at him. What is this place? What are you hiding? Chief Adekunle smirked. You already know. But since you're here, let me show you what happens to those who dig too deep. With a snap of his fingers, the chanting grew louder. A row of masked figures emerged in the darkness, their robes flowing like shadows. Ao felt his stomach twist. He had just stepped into the heart of the brotherhood. Ao lay motionless on the cold stone floor of the chamber. The taste of the elixir still clung to his tongue like rusted iron. His chest heaved with shallow breaths as flickers of the visions danced behind his closed eyelids. The past hadn't just revealed itself. It had invaded him. Faces, voices, ancient rituals, and forbidden pacts swirled his mind like a storm refusing to pass. Miriam knelt beside him, whispering his name, but he couldn't respond. It was as though the ancestors still had hold of his soul. Kindly smash the subscribe button, like, and on the notification button. Thanks. Chief Adekunle motioned for silence. He must not be touched. He has entered the corridor between flesh and flame. The other robed figure stood reverently still. Pastor Ezekiel stepped forward once again, bending over Ao's motionless form. The first test is complete, he whispered. Now the second test begins, the trial of blood. Miriam stood, trembling. What more do you want from him? Chief Adekunle turned his gaze to her. He carries something none of us possess. Purity of intention. That makes him either a vessel or a threat. A gong sounded in the distance. The chamber's lights dimmed, and a hidden door behind the shrine creaked open. Two masked women stepped forward, lifting Ao gently and carrying him into the darkness. Miriam reached out, but was held back. You cannot follow, Ezekiel said. This path, he must walk alone. Ao awoke in a candlelit chamber reeking of myrrh, sweat, and something far older. Before him stood a priestess clothed in leopard skin and coral beads, her face painted with white chalk sigils. Her eyes glowed with a wisdom that made him shiver. You have tasted the memories of the old, she intoned. Now you must bleed for the truth. Ao tried to speak, but his throat was raw. The priestess held up a blade, its edges curved and adorned with ancient script. You must choose. The blade will drink blood tonight, either yours or another's. Behind her, two figures were dragged into the room, both bound, gagged, and kneeling. Ao's heart clenched. One was a former university professor who had tried to silence him during his early investigations. The other was his estranged cousin, Banji, who once stole family inheritance and disappeared. Both had betrayed, the priestess said. But which blood will cleanse your path? Ao shook his head violently. This isn't justice. This is murder. The priestess tilted her head. Yet your silence kills more each day. The truth comes at a price. Bleed for it. Tears streamed down Ao's face. With shaking hands, he took the blade. Then, with sudden resolve, he turned it on himself, slicing deeply into his palm and letting the blood pour into a copper basin. The flame in the chamber turned blue. The priestess gasped. He has chosen sacrifice over revenge. The ancestors are watching. The basin hissed. Ao collapsed again, clutching his bleeding hand. But this time, no visions overtook him. Instead, the ground beneath the chamber trembled. Stone cracked, and from beneath the altar, a hidden staircase slowly emerged, revealed by mechanisms untouched for centuries. The priestess turned pale. "No one has reached this point since Oba Dolo," she whispered, as the robed women re-entered, Miriam among them now cloaked in red. The chamber swirled with wind. Ao opened his eyes. He felt different, stronger, like something had entered him or awakened within him. "They've marked you," Miriam said softly. "The final test awaits, the test of truth. But be warned, the truth will not only demand your pain, it will demand your past." As Ao rose, he noticed strange sigils now glowing faintly across his skin, marks not ink but burned into his essence. He was no longer just a journalist. He was a key, far above them. In political offices, church halls, and celebrity mansions, those bound to brotherhood felt the disturbance. Their dreams turned into nightmares. Their mirrors cracked. Something ancient had stirred, and Ao was at its center. And far away, in the vaults of Benin, an old masked guardian stirred from centuries of slumber. Kindly smash the subscribe button, like, and on the notification button. Thanks. The hidden staircase spiraled downward like a serpent's spine, ancient and untouched. Ao's footsteps echoed in the narrow passage, each step marked by a faint glow from the sigils etched into the walls, glowing faintly in response to the markings now pulsing on his own skin. Miriam followed behind him, her silence echoing louder than words. The priestess had handed him a staff, engraved with dual symbols of the sun and moon, emblems of balance. "You descend not into darkness," she had whispered, "but into memory." At the bottom, a vast chamber unfurled like a forgotten temple buried by time. Colossal statues of Benin's ancient rulers stood in formation, their stone gazes stern and judging. In the center lay a circular platform, adorned with concentric rings, each carved with the language of the ancients. A great obsidian mask floated above it, suspended without strings. As Ao stepped forward, the mask descended slowly, resting atop a stone pedestal. The chamber hummed with energy. Suddenly, torches along the walls ignited in a wave, revealing a dozen more robed figures. Guardians, not of the brotherhood, but of something far older. The High Guardian, a towering figure cloaked in golden feathers, stepped forward. "You have bled for truth," he said in a voice that echoed like thunder. "Now you must see it. But know this, Ao, the truth is a blade with no hilt." The High Guardian raised a ceremonial dagger, slicing across Ao's forearm. Blood fell upon the central platform, seeping into its carvings. Instantly, the rings on the floor began to turn, grinding with deep ancient mechanisms. Light burst from the platform, projecting scenes into the air, visions more vivid than dreams, more brutal than memory. Ao watched as his great-grandfather, once thought a humble priest, knelt before a European colonial officer, offering sacrifices in exchange for land and power. He saw a long-lost uncle, a politician celebrated as a hero, bathed in the blood of the innocent during a midnight ritual. And then, most painfully, he saw his own father. Ao staggered backward. His father, whom he believed died in a car crash when Ao was 12, had not died at all. He was alive, deep within the inner circle of the brotherhood. Ao watched in horror as his father placed a boy, no older than 10, on an altar, whispering incantations while masked figures surrounded him. Kindly smash the subscribe button, like, and on the notification button. Thanks. No. Ao breathed. Miriam caught him as his knees gave way. The High Guardian did not move. "You are born of the blood. Your very existence is both curse and key. To unlock what lies beneath, you must forgive the unforgivable or become it." The chamber grew cold. The statues began to glow, then crack, spilling forth spirits of kings, warriors, and sorcerers, their eyes blazing with the fires of the old world. They circled Ao slowly, whispering in tongues older than memory. He could feel their pain, their rage, and their warnings. One stepped forward. Queen Iden, the warrior priestess martyr for resisting colonial conquest. You walk a line between restoration and ruin, she said. You have seen betrayal and blood, but do not yet know your own role in this design. What do you mean? Ao asked, breathless. She raised a hand, and the ground split open to reveal a swirling portal. Step through and confront the final mirror. There you will find the origin of the brotherhood and your true inheritance. Miriam reached for his hand. You don't have to do this alone. Ao looked at her, then at the portal pulsing with power. He was no longer the man who comes searching for a story. He was a story, woven into a saga that stretched back centuries. I have to finish this. The spirits howled. The torches blew out. And Ao fell into the vortex of time. The best way to support my work is to subscribe. This will encourage me to bring you more African folk tales. Thanks for beautiful comments. You inspire me to keep doing this. Kindly smash the subscribe button. Yeah, that like also and on the notification button. Wow. Thanks.